I feel like it's been a while since I've done just like a chatty me live. There've been a lot of projects with other people lately, but it's been a while since I've just done a live where we've hung out. And cleaning up my leather stuff has been on the list for a while, and so I figured that we would just do this and hang out, and I would tidy up all of these lovely things. So I've got all my pen cases pulled, including 2 newer ones that I haven't really talked about, because I got a pen from Ferris Wheel Press recently that came in one of these pen sleeves that are apparently top grain leather, and it needs a little bit of TLC. Hello! I am so excited to meet people in Chicago. I should be able to talk about what booth I'm behind fairly soon, but I'm very excited about Chicago. It should be a great time. And this Quaco one is also newer. I got it from Jeffrey from Oak and Ink. He sent it along because he knew I was looking for one, and they're sort of hard to find here in Canada. I was struggling to find one. So we are going to clean everything else up. But first, I have to take a whole bunch of stuff out of traveler's journals because clearly I like filling my journals with stuff, to the extent that this full-size it's not a passport, it's a full-size traveler's journal, no longer has enough room just for paper and stuff in it. I have started to clip notebooks to the outside of it. So I have been looking at the new red color for this year. I'm trying to convince myself I don't need it. This feels too heavy. Doesn't have any pens in it. Glorious. So we're just gonna start stacking things that are empty. I think this has a ruler and a piece of blotting paper. So those will come out for now, and they will join this stack. We have 4 sleeves, which will also join the stack. My smoke cover is empty actually right now. I haven't been using it a bunch. I find I use it more when I travel and want to have everything split up, but I've been snowed in most of the winter, so I haven't been traveling a bunch. So what's in here? Swatch books for inks. Let's pull all these. So there's navy. And this is an actual traveler's. Clearly, I like putting a whole bunch of stuff in my travelers. At some point I should do another travelers video, I think. Because this is these 2 are my day-to-day travelers right now. The other 2 get used, but these 2 covers are definitely my daily driving covers right now. The funny thing is, this bottom one is technically olive, but it doesn't look very green. It looks very brown. So I would say the pen loops looks much more olive, but the notebook doesn't. So let's pull all this out. Keep everything together if I can, because some of this is going back in the same notebooks. I also just like how that looks together. I have debated getting the wallet insert from Galen for my passport, but I don't know that I need it. But it's also Galen, and everything they do is fantastic. I am so excited to get my hands on an Expansi folio. I cannot wait. So we're also going to polish or condition the pen loop. It is soft compared to everything else, but like I feel like it could use a little bit of TLC, so it's going to get some TLC. And then this is my big thing right now. So it's got my gardening journal, it's got business, it's actually got many things. It's got one of the zipper inserts. It's got a business card insert and it's got a file folder insert. And then 2 notebooks. And apparently I have it attached through the middle of that notebook instead of through here, because why not? So now that everything is free, if you've got any questions about anything related to this, leave it in the chat and I will do my best to answer. I do love the medic bag. I saw it in person at Chicago. I've got a couple friends that have them. I love them. For me though, I don't know that it would get a lot of use, whereas I think the Expansi Folio is similar enough to my current setup that it would get more use, but would also keep all my bits and bobs together. So stuff that's normally in pencil cases and stuff would just all be together. And there's a great deal of appeal in that. So I'm hoping that Atlas restocks them before the Chicago Pen Show, because I've got a little bit of affiliate credit there. And so I'm hoping that I can put that towards purchasing one. So shall we start with traveler's covers or pen cases? Because we've got 4 covers and we've got, I don't know, probably like 10 pen cases. And then we've got a pen loop, because I've got a single leather pen loop. So what should we start with? I also love, ooh, yeah, I desperately want the Expansi. What color did you get it in? What color did you get your Expansi in? I'm hoping they release it in the Crazy Horse Smoke. U-Boat notebooks, all right. That's easy enough to do. So, because currently my IKEA desk pad is covered in paint, we're gonna use paper towel to protect the desk. Ooh, see, I'm trying to be very good and stick to just Crazy Horse Navy and Crazy Horse Brown from them, because I do adore, I just adore how those 2 colors look, even together. And if we throw in the brown from Travelers, like, it's a pretty nice color palette of leathers. And so I'm trying to stick to those 3 colors, and specifically these 2 from Galen. And currently, the Expansi only comes in Crazy Horse Navy. And I'm sort of hoping they do it in the Smoke. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think currently I tend to travel with a zip folio from Galen, a slip and zip, and some things in my purse and a traveler's notebook. And I would just love to be able to condense everything together. I believe Atlas still has them in stock in black. But I am hoping that either Atlas or Gold Spot does a restock. So let's grab my favorite thing in the world, Oakwood leather conditioner. Because for a lot of this stuff, you don't want to touch the color. So you don't really want to use a cleaner on it unless it's got stuff on it. And I'm not going to. So all I'm going to do is condition, because really you want to condition leather goods every 6 months. And then I'm going to do a clear coat to protect everything. It is going to change the color slightly. It's going to make things slightly darker in some cases. I also know that this cover tends to be dry. It is quite dry right now, and it will absorb a lot of conditioner. Like, you can see sort of the side that's been conditioned and the side that hasn't. And it will just keep absorbing conditioner. It will also get rid of all the scratches you've got on it. And I'm okay with that, because this is, all the scratches on my pen case is just 6 months of buildup. in scratches. It doesn't take me long to get them back to like that worn look, but I'd rather my leather stay nice and soft, and I live somewhere where it's pretty dry. So if I don't condition, stuff starts to crack. And after, I think I've had this cover for about a year now. So this is probably the 3rd or 4th time it's been conditioned. And at this point, almost no navy comes up. The dye's pretty well set. But it's already totally dry. So we're gonna put a little bit more on, and then we're gonna set this aside for a little bit. Some of the stuff will only take 1 coat. Actually, most of it will, but I'm also gonna take specific care on the spine, because if you can see, like, the spine looks quite stressed almost, like, so we're just gonna give it some TLC. Honestly, I find this really zen. I love doing things like this. So there's cover 1 of many. Let's do the other Galen one next. This is Smoke. Smoke hasn't been used a whole bunch the past couple months. I've been using other covers. We're gonna flip this over so that we don't accidentally get blue dye on it. So this is sort of my break from editing for YouTube members, actually. I needed a little bit of a palette cleanser in between episodes of editing for YouTube members. And so I decided to do this. You can see how much tighter the elastics are on this notebook. Personally, I don't believe that everything needs a cover, but I do love having covers for my traveler's notebooks. Here's my Traveler's Company one. I love the smoke, and the thing is, depending on the batch of the smoke you get, it looks very different. So I've got a darker batch of smoke and a lighter batch of smoke, and both are really pretty. So as a leather, it's one of my favorite leathers Galen does, which is why I'm hoping they release it in the folio expansi. But I will also be happy if my folio is a navy. I just not so secretly, I just really like the Crazy Horse Smoke. Yeah, it is. I knew there was a color difference, but it wasn't until I held them up side by side that I really noticed. If you go back to the video, I think it was in August that I unboxed them, or I unboxed the 10-pen case because that was gifted from Galen at the sidewalk sale. I compare them side by side, new, and there's such a huge difference. But that happens with naturally dyed leather. Like, there are going to be tonal differences. And I believe they warn about it on their website. It does give it more character, and that's something that I love about leather goods, is that I think all of our leather notebook covers sort of take on our personality. There are some people that are very careful about making sure that they always keep their leather covers polished and clean and conditioned. And I would say I'm much more of like the every like 6 months, just like making sure that I condition it so like spines don't crack. Like you can see like the spine, I think you could probably see it on camera, the spine's starting to crack a little bit because it's been really dry this winter. And once it cracks a whole lot, there's not a lot you can do. But like just with that little bit of conditioner, like all the scratches are gone. And I know some people who that bugs a lot. For me, it'll only take a little bit for the scratches to all come back, and so I don't really care. So we're just gonna polish away. And for some of the deeper scratches, like they're just gonna stay. And that's perfectly okay. I am going to throw some extra conditioner on this spine because it seems a little bit sad. But I always love like the transformation when you throw conditioner on something like this, like how quickly it changes. And sometimes I'll do what I'm doing here where I'm putting on a little too much conditioner on the spine probably. And then I'll come back in a little bit and just wipe some of it off. But I want to make sure like I've got it as saturated as possible. All right, last cover. I don't actually know that I've conditioned this one. This was another cover I bought secondhand. All of my covers are secondhand or second sales covers. So this one I ended up getting secondhand. So let's oh yeah, I clearly haven't done it. It has already soaked up all that conditioner. All right. It is dry. It's interesting, like suddenly it looks very yellow. And normally it doesn't look very green at all. Ooh, I'm sort of a little bit jealous. I was lucky enough to get my Galen covers in their seconds section. And really, the blue one has a little slit that is just the top layer. And the gray one had, you can sort of see it right there. The gray one had a little blue pen mark, but I was able to get it mostly out with leather soap without changing the color. So I count it as a win. That's already absorbed it all. So we're gonna do coat number 2. They do have a second section. Galen has, so the thing with their second section is you don't know what the flaw is going to be. So it could be something as small as a pen stain like my gray one had, but it could be a bigger flaw. If you're looking at their natural leathers though, the flaws tend to be fingerprints because it'll show fingerprints. I'm going to tell people about the seconds. Like, it's the same with the watercolor world. Like, if people can save money while supporting a small shop, like if that's the difference between people buying from a small shop and not buying from a small shop, I'd so much prefer people buy from a small shop versus buy. I know. But that's the thing, like I'd so much prefer people buying a second from a small shop versus buying new from a larger shop. I love Galen. Galen are some of my favorite people, and I loved getting to work with them. I hope I get to do it again. We're gonna let this dry. We're gonna grab this giant pile of pen cases and this. We're gonna throw that up there. How am I going to? I don't know how I'm gonna do all these. I'm gonna run out of table space. It is. That's how I got my first stuff from Galen. But especially if you're into their natural leather, like the second section's the place to be, because over time it's going to get fingerprints and stuff on it. And as long as you're okay with it arriving with fingerprints, there's no reason not to support the second sale section. We're gonna start with the pen loop. I don't think I've ever polished this. So yeah, Galen seconds on their natural leather is great because almost always the flaw on the natural stuff is that it's got fingerprints. They do all their natural leather with gloves on, but sometimes like stuff is accidentally grabbed without gloves on and then it goes into the second sale. So my next Galen purchase will be a Expansifolia, but I am hoping to get a little more Atlas credit first, and Atlas needs to restock them. These are not Galen cases, this one and my 12 pen case for this one. I got them off of Amazon. They're the same cases that Lori Tata likes, but they're very similar to the Galen ones. I just needed something for transporting my pens to shows. Yeah, so I have a slip and zip and I have a 10 pen case from them. And I'm currently looking at the Folio Expansi and I think it's a 14 pen Kaweco case. But those 14 pen Kaweco cases seem to be hard to find currently. Atlas had one, I think Atlas had one in their Discord sale a couple months ago. But I haven't really seen them since, other than on Galen's site. And as much as I love ordering from them directly, the current fee from FedEx for getting items delivered to Canada if there's customs is a bit appalling. What is that? It's just a thingy. So apparently the Ferris wheel press pen sleeves are also leather. I'm going to throw a little bit of conditioner on it, but ooh, yeah. So for a while I handmade pen rolls for myself, for my collection. And I do like doing things like that. But there are things that a leather hard case works better for. I did get a Ferris wheel press pen. They sent one in my January package. When I'm done using conditioner, I'll have to wash my hands and I will grab it then, because we've only got a couple cases left, and then we'll move on to clear coat. And it came with, Ferris wheel press pen came with this leather pen sleeve, because apparently, normally I only get the plastic carousel pens if I get a pen. And because of my hand issues, I can't actually use them. So I was very happy to get a pen from them that was usable. It's totally okay. I have to get up and clean my hands anyways, because the leather conditioner is oil-based, and I don't want to get it in the leather cream, so it is easy enough to grab, especially because it's on my other desk. This is part of the slip and zip. One thing I like is that you can get these cards, you can buy them separately. And so you can just get one of these cards for your purse or your briefcase if you are one of those people that just carries pens, not in a case, which I do. But if I'm not carrying pens in a case, normally I'm fully not carrying pens in a case and don't even put them on a card of some sort. There's a little bit of navy transfer, but really it's minimal. The one thing I dislike is that I can't really get conditioner under the elastics, which is a little bit frustrating. So I just leave it, and then we've got this lovely thing. This is one of those like chores that's like really satisfying to do. There are some chores that I really don't like. This is one of those really satisfying chores. I think it's going to need a second coat. It's very dry. But I have been using it a bunch this winter. Already dry. Honestly, I adore batch cleaning pens. I batch cleaned ink pipettes this week. I just got pen flush for the studio, and I just used pen flush. I used a little bit of pen flush when I was cleaning pipettes with ink in them, and it was so much easier, but it was also so much nicer. I like if I'm doing a task like this, like I won't do it for a single pen case. I will do all of them at once. It's the same with my leather boots. I will do everyone's shoes in the house. I will not do only one pair of shoes. Like, it turns into a production. But I like doing things like this. But I do like batch cleaning pens. I've got a pile, but it's like not big enough to justify cleaning pens. I think I've only got 5 pens in it. And so I'm like, it's not big enough to clean pens. So yeah, I think I've got 5 or 6 pen rolls that I sewed myself. But I do, if I'm using a piston pen, I like them to be in a hard case just so that the piston knob doesn't get knocked. Exactly. It's like, if I'm doing it, I'm going to do it for many items. I am not going to do it for one thing. Like, if I'm getting my hands all greasy and sticky doing this, I'm going to do all of the leather goods in my office, and tomorrow I'm probably going to do all the leather boots in the house. That's just how I operate. Because if I'm doing it, we're doing everything. I'm officially out of space. Oh, that's crazy. So this leather does tend to absorb a whole lot of conditioner on occasion, and it's quite dry right now, and so you can see the color difference. And it will dry lighter in places. But I do always enjoy this process. And then I'll Urad clear coat it on top. So no, I didn't. Normally I would clean some of these first. If I'm cleaning, I use this stuff. It's a leather shampoo. The issue is I find that if you clean the Galen leather stuff with anything other than a damp cloth, some of the dye transfers more than some of the dye. A lot of the dye can transfer. And so I will just like spot treat with a damp cloth. I'm using Oakwood leather conditioner, which is what we use at the barn for tack. It's for saddle, bridles, harnesses, gear, boots. And because it's what I use for my boots, I just use it on all my leather stuff as well. And it means that I only have to deal with my leather notebooks and pen cases about every 6 months. And then we'll go back through and everything will get a coat of clear Urad, which is another leather product that is mostly meant for boots, but like people also use it on like their leather sofas. So we are on the final case. Surprisingly, this is the case with the most transfer so far. So I continue to make a mess of my desk. You're welcome. There we go. There's everything conditioned. All right, I'm gonna go and wash my hands now. And then we'll come back and do the next part. And then in like total time of like an hour-ish, I'll have cleaned and conditioned all the leather notebooks and pen cases I have, which always feels really satisfying. Hello. Well, I'm glad you enjoy them, and like I'm sort of sorry, but like I also appreciate when you guys shop through my affiliate links with stores, because it lets me buy cool stuff for the channel. Here's the pen I promised to show. This is the Ferris Wheel Press, I believe it's called Blue Revelry. I think it's a jewel. It's super cool. I really like it. It's really sparkly. I did switch the nib in this pen. I had a nib from the Kickstarter that they sent to me, and so I put a broad nib in this pen. It only came in a finer medium. I really like it. It's really sparkly. It's really pretty. I don't know how holographic it is going to show up inside, but this pen is really sparkly. So I really like it. So I've been enjoying it. I believe you can buy it at all the normal places, but if you buy it through Atlas, I believe you get 10% off, which is always nice. I'm very excited for the Lord of the Rings ones. I am very excited for the Lord of the Rings ones. So, yeah. Normally I don't back Kickstarter projects, but we'll have to see. All right, this is what we're using. Clear Urad. It's a I do not have a Farney's link yet. I don't know that Farney's is going to be doing affiliates, but I do have an Atlas, a Gold Spot, an Estabrook. I do have a Ferris Wheel Press one, but most of the time I think you get a better deal through Atlas or Gold Spot. So, yeah, this is what we're using. I am moving some stuff, and let's get into this. I'm going to do this properly with a sponge, I guess. Yeah, I think the Expansi is too new to be in seconds, but there are some cool things in seconds currently. So I'm applying clear coat because I am very clumsy, and this basically means that for the next couple months, everything's going to wipe off of it. If you spill ink, it'll still stain, but like if you get water, if you get mud, if you get dirt, everything will just wipe off. I use the black version on my boots. It's fantastic. And so it is described as a self-shining all-in-one leather cream, cleanses, cleans, conditions, protects, and shines. It is a wax and lanolin coat for leather goods. I like to use a separate secondary conditioner because I don't do this as often as I do my boots. And so we're just coating everything in clear. And it's also going to make all of the like scratches on any of the Crazy Horse leathers that stayed really pop, which I really like. It's sort of like adding clear coat with nail polish. I don't know that Galen recommends putting on a clear coat, but I find it works really well, and it makes my life easier because it means if I spill, I can just wipe stuff off. So I do it, and then you just sort of let everything dry. And Urad does not take long to dry. There's a sponge because I've still got tack stores. So if you're in Canada, Greenhawk. If you're in the US, I want to say it starts with a D. They're a big tack store, but tack stores sell them for equestrians. They are magical, magical products. And I love them because they last a very long time. I've been working on that jar of leather conditioner for 18, no more than that. I've had it since 2022 and we're into 2025. Yep. And even if you can't find the exact ones, like if you go into a tack store and say you're looking for a high quality leather conditioner, they will be able to set you up. Because equestrians are really, really picky about what we use on our boots and what we use on our tack. Like, really picky. So. Even if they don't have exactly what I use, they'll be able to set you up with something. Yep. Basically, my logic was that if it was good enough to be used on my riding boots and on very expensive tack at the barn, it was probably safe enough to be used on my leather pen cases. And so I didn't feel the need to buy any of the specialty leather pen case cleaners. And honestly, I would think, I don't have any proof of this, I would think that the stuff that's made for the equestrian world is potentially higher quality than the stuff being made just for the pen world, because we are always very careful about what's around our horses and what we're using to clean their tack. Oh, it definitely did. Because I think that giant container of leather conditioner was like $25 Canadian for, is it 500 mil? Yeah, it's 500 mil of leather conditioner. It's just, yeah. There was no point in me getting specialty leather stuff to clean leather notebooks and stuff when I had expensive leather stuff for my leather boots. And it's not going to take long for this stuff to look worn in again, but so I don't have to buy my own tack, so it's not a problem I have to deal with. But they are we saw some at the Royal this year that were very expensive. So I was very happy that I don't have to buy my own tack. I am questioning if this Quaco case is actually leather or not. They say it is, but it's not absorbing the leather conditioner. And I am suspicious. I think there are 20? I think there's 20 including borders. I'm suspicious of that Quaco case. We're gonna let it sit for a little bit longer, but I did it fairly early on in this pen cases and it hasn't soaked in at all. Yeah, I think it is pleather. It's up as being a leather pen case, but I don't think it's a leather pen case. It is, yeah, it is very lovely. You could probably leave it with just a conditioner and a cleaning. I'm using the same stuff we use to clean tack at the barn, and I use to clean my riding boots, to clean my leather pen cases, because I refuse to buy specialty pen case cleaner when I already have incredibly high quality leather products at home. Oh, I am so jealous. Yeah. My new dressage horse is, if you scroll very far back on Instagram, you'll know that just after the Chicago Pen Show last year, the mare that I'd been competing on had to be put down. And we've been through the whole trials process of like finding a new competition horse. And my new competition horse is, I am using clear Urad. So I've already conditioned everything and now I'm putting a clear coat on everything so that if I get mud and anything on it, everything just wipes off. She had to be put down just after Chicago Pen Show last year. And so I didn't compete in person at all last year. I only competed virtually. And now I've got this sort of pocket pet of a mare that is turning 20 this year, had been turned away in a field for a year because she was retired and then she was offered to us as a lease, or she was offered to the barn as a lease, and she is a pocket pet and she's spicy and she's fabulous and I adore her. And she is so much fun. I rode this morning and it was great. So it was fun. Yeah, it really sucked. It was about this time last year that she got sick. And she just got progressively worse. And by the time I got home from Chicago, it was realized that she wasn't going to get better. She was just getting worse. She had gone off her feed, and it was just cruel for her to continue suffering, but it shattered me. In a very real way, it shattered me. Yeah. Ooh, so the Ferris wheel press sleeve, the conditioner is actually absorbed because I was worried this was potentially leather as well, but it has, for the most part, absorbed. It didn't absorb fully, but it's also a newer case. Yes, we are not snowbound anymore. I can actually see cement, though yesterday it was back below zero. It was gross. We are going to, yeah, the Faco case has not absorbed at all. Yeah. So it is not, I don't want to say it's not leather because they market it as being leather, but it's not, it might just be coated with something. But it's not absorbing conditioner. So we might take leather soap to it and just try and get off any conditioner that's sitting on it. I have to say, my mental health, now that we're not snowed in, greatly improved. Now that there isn't 4 feet of snow up on all the doorways but the front door, mental health, so much better. I am obsessed with RDA, so we don't have something like that here in Canada. So I compete against riders that aren't disabled with very little motor function in my lower left leg and with a shoulder that's frozen in place. So I am always crooked. My dressage feedback for rider positioning is also frequently, rider is not straight, but there's no way for me to be straight, but I don't quite fit the pair classifications. And so I compete against all the normal riders. And it does make life interesting when everyone else in your category has no issues. This gallon sleeve never really absorbs a whole lot of conditioner. I always over condition it. But I'm gonna put a layer of this on anyways. I would say it takes I knew I wanted to compete. And my options were competing or not. And competing against able-bodied riders or not competing at all. And as frustrating as it can be at times, we've also turned it into a really funny thing because sometimes you get feedback from a judge and you go, like, I have just like laughed until I've cried over feedback before because there is literally nothing I can do to fix it. And there is no way that we can change what their feedback is. Like, their tips for improvement will not fix the problem. But there's no way to tell them that. But like, they've tried to give me advice to fix a problem that I can't fix, which is always interesting. But I am lucky at the barn I ride at and the people I ride with, and it's a good time. We have fun. And I did once buy a PS of Sweden saddle pad that has swear words on it along the spine, and you know, that makes it all the more fun on warm-up day at a show when the imposter syndrome's really kicking in to be riding in a saddle pad that has secret swear words on it. I think by the time I ended up at the barn, I had survived too much with stage 4 cancer at 18 to not. Like, is it sometimes really frustrating? Yeah. But like, was not doing it an option? Not really. Because like, why wouldn't I? And I think that's how I see a lot of things. It's like, why wouldn't I run a YouTube channel on fountain pens? Why wouldn't I start an interview series talking to people in the fountain pen world when I didn't really know anyone? I think surviving life and death situations in your teens really does shape how you make decisions going forward. It's definitely lowered the fear barrier to a lot of things, because things that a lot of other people find scary, I go, oh yeah, like I've almost died like 3 separate occasions. Why would I be afraid of that? It doesn't, that's like, why does that matter? I'm, you know, glad you ended up here as well. It's a super fun place to be. Lots of the time, our lives aren't like this, but apparently this is today's live, and I suspect there'll be another one because I've sort of decided to re-swatch my ink collection again. This time by brand, so I think that's going to start this weekend, seeing as we've ditched edited Saturday videos until the Chicago Pen Show. I think weekends are now going to be more live stuff, purely because I'm tired of editing. But YouTube members, your edited classes will be coming. I am working on it. I'm just like, I sort of hit the wall this week editing, and I couldn't. So hopefully in the next couple days. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Sometimes I go like, why am I turning this into a video? And then I go, because like otherwise I'm sitting in the basement by myself. I love pen shows. I am very excited for Chicago. I think Chicago's probably going to be my first show this year, and potentially one of the only shows I attend this year. But it's always a very fun show. I have a lot of fun, and I can't wait until I'm allowed to talk about what brand I'm going with. Yeah, I sort of hit a place that I'm like, I've reached the like quota of listening to my own voice in a week-long period, and we hit that yesterday. I was like, I'm done listening to my voice. I need to do something else. And so, you know, alive while dealing with all my leather stuff, because like otherwise it's just me sitting in a basement watching Netflix or listening to something. And anyone who's been here for a very long time will know what I listen to while I do these sort of lives. But I don't know that any of the... So Detroit actually isn't that far. Detroit is only, I want to say, like 5.5 hour drive, 6 hour drive from us. So there is a potential there. It's just sort of at an awkward time, but I think it's earlier this year. I want to say like last year it was near the end of the month. And this year it's sooner. I might be wrong. It might have just felt late last year. Well, I suspect I'll end this one, and then in like 20 minutes there'll be another one once I've got the other desk set up, because I don't have a tripod set up over there. It is earlier this year. Okay. It looked earlier on the schedule, but then I also couldn't remember when it was last year. Like I felt like it was like just before or just after Canadian Thanksgiving last year. And this year it's like the beginning of the month. I do. The issue is that Canada's train system is not, we do have a train system, but commercial trains take priority over passenger trains. So depending on where you're going, you can get super delayed. So we tend to drive or fly to pen shows just for time. Also, I live in Canada and most of the shows are in the States, and there are very few train routes that take you across the border. I think there's one from Toronto to Boston and Toronto to New York, but I don't think there's a Toronto to Chicago train. All right. October 3rd is the first day. That feels early this year, because I think Thanksgiving's the next week. What did I use on the oil? I used leather. Oh, okay. I have used this Oakwood leather conditioner, which is meant for saddles, bridles, harnesses, gear, and boots. And you can get it at tack stores. And then I've used Urad Clear. Again, tack stores. Though, really, if you go to any tack store and just go, I would like a high quality leather conditioner. Even if they don't have this, they'll be able to set you up with something, because horse people are really, really picky about what they use. You have to take the Amtrak to Chicago from Buffalo. Yeah, and if to get to Buffalo is like sort of out of the way for going to Chicago. Like that isn't where we'd cross to go to Chicago. So for Galen specifically, I spot clean. Purely because I find the dye moves a little bit, and so I'll just spot clean with water. If I really have to clean, I will use a leather shampoo like this, or there are a whole bunch of other ones. I do like this one, but I prefer to just spot clean Galen leather stuff and most of my other leather pen cases, because I find that especially like the Crazy Horse dyes aren't as set as something like a leather boot leather, because they do age. Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, especially all the Crazy Horse stuff, like the more you use it, the more it'll change. Okay. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, again, take it with a grain of salt, but that would be fun. Toronto to Chicago via Detroit, because that's like a more direct route than going Toronto, Buffalo, Buffalo, Chicago. Because if I'm going all the way to Buffalo, like, it just doesn't make sense. So, I hope you enjoyed hanging out. I suspect there'll be another live today, because I'm looking at a giant wall of ink and going, I think I want to start on that today. So I suspect that will start probably, I don't even know what time it is anymore. It's 5:14. I suspect it'll start at about 5:30 because I need to set up a tripod and stuff. So, all right, I will see you guys in like hopefully 15 minutes. It might take me a little longer just because I have to get the tripod set up at the other desk, and it's always sort of awkward to film at the little desk. Or not the little desk, like the set desk for 20 questions and stuff that's also a storage desk. It's always sort of awkward to film at that table, but it is always fun to use it. So I have a tripod. It just, because I filmed 20 questions there, it has to move every time I sit at the desk to film 20 questions or desk chatter or coffee and pens. And unlike my lights, which all have taped off squares on the floor, I do not have a taped off situation for where the tripod goes. So I have to figure that out every time I film there. But thanks for hanging out. This was fun. Affiliate links are below if you're shopping and, you know, want to use affiliate links. I'm always grateful if you do because they help buy things to support this channel. And other than that, I will see you guys in a little bit because we're definitely doing inks tonight. Yeah, we're doing inks.